the establishment of the Davidic kingdom was a crucial moment in God's plan of redemption. It was crucial. But who is David? I've been wanting to make this point for a month and a half. Where did David come from? Well, we know from the book of Ruth that David had Moabite blood in his veins through Ruth. We also know from Matthew 1 that David has Canaanite blood in his veins through Boaz. And now I'm going to go off the reservation for a moment. Put this in the reckless speculation of Pastor Sean. And then you can summarily dismiss me later. David wrote Psalm 51 after committing adultery with Bathsheba. He wrote in verse 5, "Behold, I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me." For all time, I have read this verse and said it's referring to the sinful nature of a person when they're deformed. We call this the doctrine of total depravity. There are plenty of passages in the Bible that support this doctrine. You don't need this passage, but I've always kind of held that position here. However, there are some Jewish interpretations that suggest David was born because of a sinful sexual act, perhaps adultery. I took this observation to a friend that I teach with, and then we started geeking out on the Greek Septuagint, and that's exactly what you'd be led to believe through the Greek Septuagint, the Greek Old Testament. Further, it is interesting that we do not know the name of David's mother. You ever think about that? And we don't know the potential circumstances of David's birth. And not knowing all that would help explain why he was left in the field with the sheep when Samuel rolls around to meet with all of Jesse's sons to anoint a king, 1 Samuel 16. Now, you don't have to follow me down that road by any means, but at the very least, the inclusion of Moabite and Canaanite women, their blood in the veins of David and in the genealogy of Matthew 1 shows us what God is doing for the nations. It is a plan of redemption for the entire world. God has been and will continue to redeem his messy people through faith in Jesus Christ. So I'm not surprised that David is this complex figure in history. It actually makes sense. God is out. You know, it is great that we can drop down into the story and tease out what God is doing. We can see the drama of redemption. The book of Ruth is a picture of what God has been doing since the creation of the cosmos. I hope you see that. I also hope you see that you are a part of God's plan of redemption. Like, here's my exhortation to you this morning. Do not relegate God's plan of redemption to the dead. Don't do that. God's plan of redemption is for the living, and as long as you live, you are a part of God's story and plan. The question is, how are you choosing to participate in God's plan to reach our community, this country, and the nations with the gospel of Jesus Christ? So what do we do with the tapestry of stories in the genealogy in Ruth 4 and Matthew 1? We are meant to see that despite man's sin, despite the fact that there are spiritual powers working against the one true God, there are demonic forces that aim to thwart God and his people. Despite all the opposition and all the plot twists, guess what? God's will shall be done. A Messiah has come, and God has the receipts to prove that Jesus is the long-awaited God-man who came to redeem and reconcile a broken world full of broken and sinful people. The receipts are the genealogies.